Hello, it's Cameron. I've kept myself occupied these past few weeks in quarantine by working out, playing Minecraft, and reading books. Whenever I come across a certain excerpt that I'm fond of in a book, I tend to share it on my Instagram account. And almost every time I do so, someone replies asking me about the book and tells me to make a video dedicated to books. So here we go, these are my top 5 favourite books. Not of all time, just at the moment, like at the time of this recording. Okay, let's go. In no particular order, the first book is This Modern Love by Will Derbyshire. Will is a British filmmaker who has a massive following on YouTube. After a breakup, Will became more vocal with his feelings. As a result of him being more sensitive, his audience expressed their feelings quite openly as well, primarily on the topic of heartbreak. That was when Will had the idea to ask his audience to send in their stories when it comes to love.
The book is written by you, and it's written by anyone who is in love and who is out of love, and it's a forum to share your experiences and your feelings. It's a chance to get something off your chest and put words to thoughts that might be too complicated to speak.
He asked them to answer these questions. What would you say to your ex without judgment? Write a thank you note to your partner, describe or share in a photo the big and little things that make you happy. What single word sums up your love life, your partner or someone you like? What single image sums up your love life, your partner or someone you like? What would you say to a crush? Write a letter to express it. And lastly, how has technology affected your relationship, either positively or negatively? And that's what this book essentially is. It's thousands of people vulnerably sharing their love story. The book is divided into 3 sections. The beginning, aka the start of a relationship where people write an open letter to their crush. The middle, people sharing their feelings for their special partner and why they are so thankful for them. And the end, which contains really heartbreaking letters, but is also just low-key loads of people dissing their exes. What I love most about this book is how honest and raw the letters are. After all, they do come from real experiences. People being incredibly open with the way they feel makes others feel less lonely. You realise that you aren't being too serious or too petty in a relationship. Bloody hell, this one guy here even called out his ex for still having his Pokemon card collection. I can spend ages talking about it, however we still have 4 other books to discuss, so let's move on. The Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger. Sadly, I don't have a physical copy of this book, but oh my days does this book have a history. 2 assassinations and 1 attempted assassination were all carried out by people who were found to have this book in their possession. It was even the most censored book in the United States for 21 years, yet it also happens to be one of the most taught books in America. The Catcher in the Rye follows 16-year-old Holden Caulfield and his adolescent mindset during the 1950s. Having just been expelled from school, he spends an eventful 2 days in New York with incredibly fascinating characters. The book deals a lot with conforming to society, as well as phoniness, both as to which Holden clearly has a problem with. I don't know, he's like another ignorant kid who feels as if he has the entire world figured out, but at the same time he makes some good points, you know? I definitely felt like Holden when I was 16. This book helps sort out my thoughts a wee bit. Ultimately, Holden realises that he was just afraid of change. He didn't know how to deal with maturity. That's why innocence is a reoccurring theme in this book. The Catcher in the Rye is made for everybody. However, if you're a young adult, I highly recommend you read it. Right, sadly I don't have a copy of the next book as well. Please bear with me here guys. But Black Like Me by John Howard Griffin is a non-fiction story that really stuck with me throughout the years. John, a white American journalist, travelled to the Deep South in 1959 when African Americans lived under racial segregation. However, there was a twist. He went disguised as a black man. John took doses of an anti-vitiligo drug and spent hours under an ultraviolet light in order to change the colour of his skin. Yes, you could say that he was engaging in blackface, but you've got to understand his intentions. He wanted to better understand how life was for blacks in the South so that he can share and help with the struggle, possibly aiding in the unification of all races.
Thank God Almighty, we are free at last.
I can somewhat realise as to why this book still gets a lot of hate online. However, you've got to consider that this man bared the risk doing what he did for the betterment of all. The book was written in the form of a journal, which makes the entire reading experience far more real and personal. John sharing stories such as how he was threatened numerous times and chased down the streets, to name a few, really put things into perspective for me when I first read this book at the age of 18. Despite this story being written by one man, the reader is still capable to view the topic from numerous perspectives. We can learn a lot from this book, especially with what's been going on recently. It's scary and incredibly sad that some of the events in this book from the 60s still occur today. Next up is For One More Day by Mitch Albom. The story is essentially about the relationship between a mother and son. It explores the question, what would you do if you could spend one more day with a lost loved one? Charlie Benito, the main character, is a broken man at a very low point in his life. Ultimately, he decides that he wants to commit suicide. However, after a failed attempt, he stumbles back into his house and is astonished to discover his mother, who passed away 8 years earlier. Through numerous discussions with his deceased mother, Charlie comes to finally understand as to why things were the way they were. He discovers how certain events from his childhood have shaped him as a person. It ultimately becomes quite therapeutic for Charlie. As I was learning more about their family, I realised that I was learning more about relationships in general as well. Forgiveness plays a massive role in the story, whether it be forgiving others or yourself. For One More Day really puts us readers in the position of others. It teaches us to accept certain things, move on, and take control of our lives. Now last but definitely not least is another classic by Mitch Albom, The Magic Strings of Frankie Presto. I saved this book for last because I'm still currently reading it. It's so good that I actually don't want it to end. What's unique is that the story is narrated by the spirit of music itself. In this book, music shares the tale of his child, Frankie Presto. Frankie is a fictional character, however Mitch made this character feel so real by placing him in actual events in history such as Woodstock and Elvis's concerts. It was like a Forrest Gump situation. I love how this book really shows that music is a part of life, such as Adagio for example, indicating that music is to be played slowly, much like a relationship that slows down as two people increasingly see the same things differently. The narrator music takes us through Frankie's life as if it were a sheet of music. You come to a deeper understanding as to how musicians really express all of their experiences through song. Us readers learn alongside Frankie through all of his discussions with each person he comes across, whilst leaving an impact on them as well. It was lovely to read about all of those different perspectives of life. All in all, The Magic Strings of Frankie Presto is a uniquely told story that gives us readers a fresh, optimistic outlook on our existence. And that's essentially it. Those are the 5 books that have recently captured my attention. I'm going to read To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee next, and I'm trying to get my hands on some work by Virginia Woolf. Okay, like, subscribe, all of that good stuff, and goodbye.
Just let me adore you, oh honey.